Nuclear Pizza, that's not quite right. He says, hey, remember, guys, it was an Irish family, the Kennedys, that did more than any other to destroy America, especially with the Immigration Act. That's not true. Emmanuel Celler and the Jewish groups that he was associated with did the most to destroy America. He was working on it. That was his big goal, was to overturn the 1925 or 1924 Naturalization Act, which ensured that the demographic mix of the United States would remain intact. His entire goal, he worked for 45 years to do that. And it's kind of interesting that that was his primary goal in life. He succeeded, and now nobody wants to give him credit for it because they don't like the implications and the consequences of his success. But again, we have to look at the truth. We have to look at the facts. And again, I'm part Irish. In fact, if you want to talk about the Irish link to the Revolutionary War, one of my revolutionary ancestors was a colonel in the Revolutionary Army. His name was Galloway, and he was Irish, and he was a friend of George Washington's. Now, I'm also descended from, another revolutionary soldier who was English and was definitely not a colonel, but so I understand that these things are not absolutely black and white. There's not things tend to blur around the edges, but it doesn't change the facts. It doesn't change the reality. It doesn't change the fact that at a certain point, water turns to ice. The position that a lot of people are in are saying that, well, just because the water's getting colder, but it's not ice. It'll never turn to ice. But the point is, once you get past a certain point, and there's no absolute hard and fast line, but once you get past a certain point, and it's much smaller than most people want to realize, you intrinsically change the nature of the country. It changes from being a nation state to being an empire. And when you have an empire, there's always going to be constant struggles over whose rules and whose heritage and whose tradition will take precedence over the others.